So do you want to focus anywhere on the active customers, because the number of sales or the number of ads might be higher, but they might be getting skewed from like fewer customers or like lower percentage of customers than the others?
Success metrics are, defining metrics that would define if the product is successful or not, or is it going in the right direction, right?
Even though there might be sales that are being made, obviously sales gives a very good impression of what is going on. But should we also look at the satisfaction, like how is their overall experience using marketplace, etc.? Any thoughts there?
Maybe we could have like a survey or a feedback thing once a person marks it as sold, and asking him how the experience was and all of that stuff. So that could be something which we can add as a secondary metric.
Hi everyone, welcome back to our podcast, Everything Product. We talk about latest technologies with the product mindset. This is Phani. I'm a product manager at a startup.
This is Sid Saladi. I'm a product manager working for Best Buy.
Perfect. For anyone who is watching our podcast for the first time, right? We both are product managers and we love to talk about product management. We are currently doing a series on product management interviews, and we talked about different interview rounds for product managers and different mock interviews as well. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And in today's video, what we are planning to do is we are planning to talk about product execution rounds in an interview. Product execution is really important, and it actually helps the interviewer understand how you as a product manager can understand the product, define the metrics, and drive it to success. So Sidhu, the question that I have for you is, let's imagine that you're a product manager for Facebook Marketplace. Tell me, how would you measure the success for it?
Sure, yeah. Very excited to the question. So let's get into the question, Phani. So before we actually get into answering the question, right, a couple of questions I have is, I'm assuming Facebook Marketplace is basically a feature inside the Facebook app where users kind of list things and, other users come in to buy those things. And most of them are used products, and there are also a small percentage of new products that are being sold in the marketplace. Is that a fair assumption?
That is correct. So Imagine it like it's a peer-to-peer marketplace where anyone who wants to sell can put their post, and then anyone who wants to buy can see it. And it also lets you see localized ones more, but they also support like bigger merchants who also sell their products, like newer products that you're talking about. And those can have shipping as well. Like if it is peer-to-peer, it's typically pickup, like where you find someone local and then go pick up. But it is expanding to like shipping and other things as well.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I think they're actually having third party which they tie up with to do shipping and all of that stuff. But yeah, that makes sense. And success metrics are, defining metrics that would define if the product is successful or not, or is it going in the right direction, right? Similar to that.
Yes, that is correct. We can talk more like based on the goals and stuff that you think about.
Okay, sounds good, Phani. So I'll take a minute and gather my thoughts. I'll see how I'll answer the question and I'll get back to you. Okay, Phani. So the way which I would want to answer this question is, first we'll look at the overall mission of what Facebook is, and then we'll go into the product goal, right? Like why does this product exist? And then we'll look at the strategic goals. After we go to the strategic goals, right, we'll look at all the different personas who will be using the marketplace, and maybe look at the user journeys for them. And after which we can look at the whole funnel and see which part is a strategic goal which we want to concentrate on, what would be the metrics which we can measure, and then we'll pick a couple of metrics, do trade-offs for that, and then maybe we'll choose one success metric and a couple of follow-up metrics for that. After which we can also look into a couple of health metrics and guardrail metrics and all of that stuff. And at last I would like to summarize.
That sounds great, Sidhu.
Okay, perfect. So give me a second. I'll quickly gather my thoughts and get back to you again. Okay. So when we look at the overall Facebook's mission, right, it's giving people the power to build community and bring the world closer together. Let's see how this product basically ties back to the overall mission of Facebook or Meta. For the product goal, I would say is, Facebook already has a lot of users inside the Facebook app. So this is basically enabling, using the power of community to help people buy and sell products, right? So people accumulate a lot of stuff which could be listed out somewhere in the community, which could be useful for other people who want to buy them, right? So that's what the key problem which Facebook is trying to solve through this specific product. If you're liking this video, smash that like button so that the YouTube algorithm will show it to more people who can benefit from this content. And for the strategic goals, we could have growth, monetization, and engagement. So for this specifically, I don't think the product is in a growth phase, right? The product has already, people are pretty aware that there exists a marketplace product, and they could go and use some of those features because it is inbuilt into the Facebook app, and there's people who are using it. So I would want to concentrate on engagement of the app, increase the number of people coming there and find more value and interact and all of that stuff. Does that sound good?
That sounds good. One question there. If I understand the Facebook marketplace right, they have enough amount of customers. Okay, so within that, and given the market circumstances right now, right, a lot of companies are struggling to raise funds, and we are also seeing a lot of layoffs and everything. So why don't you think monetization is the right metric to focus on?
Yeah, so Phani, the reason I would say is, right, the more engagement you have in the product, right, that's a measure of people getting more value, and that's when monetization falls in. And also I feel that engagement actually ties back to the Facebook's mission of bringing people closer together through communities and increasing the number of interactions people have. So the more we concentrate on engagement, the better people are engaged with the product, I feel. So that's why I want to concentrate more on engagement to start with.
Okay, sounds good, Sidhu. Let's do that.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I'll take a minute and quickly define the users and the user journeys, and I'll get back to you. So typically I see that, right, when there's a marketplace product, there's two-way marketplaces, three-way marketplaces. I would want to consider this more as a three-way marketplace where there are people who list products which they want to sell. There are people who come in to buy products, right? And there also could be advertisers who are advertising products to sell, right? So that's another third tier of people who would be there. But for this, as we are saying, engagement is really important for Facebook, and also create value to the users and align and also align back to the overall mission. I would want to pick buyers and sellers. I want to look at both of them because I feel that it's both of them are interdependent for this product. Does that sound good?
Got it. Makes sense.
Okay, let's see what the user journey looks like, Phani. I think once we look at the user journey, right, we can try to understand what the funnel looks like after looking at the user journey. So imagine I'm a seller, right? What I would do is I would go to the Facebook app, right? Then open up and try to do a listing where I take pictures of the product which I want to sell, then post it, and then people see that, right? They could maybe send me a message saying that, is this product new? Where do you live? And all of those things. Once that is done, I respond to them. After which, once I sell it, I mark it as complete or sold, and my product is sold. So that's how the seller's user journey looks like. On the buyer side, what I do is I go to the app, go to Facebook Marketplace, go and search for the keywords keywords of the item which you want to search, buy. And then I get a list of items inside the app, and I scroll through, and if I like something, I either send a message to the seller or maybe request or send an offer or something like that. So if the seller likes that, I'm done, and I do the transaction somewhere else. So that's how the buyer's user journey looks like. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Okay, Phani. So I'd say let's maybe dig deep into engagement metrics, and I'll take one persona and talk about a couple of metrics which we can measure, and do the same for the other persona too. So let's now talk about the seller here. The seller, right? The person who goes in and lists the items, right? We want to measure like what metrics would encourage him to come back and sell more and more things, right? I think the first one which we want to measure is the number of conversions, right? So a person comes in and lists something. I think the reason why he wants to list it is right to sell things. So I think measuring that will help us understand if the seller is happy or not. The next one is the transaction size of the person, right? Anybody who's coming to him, right? Like how big is the cart size is also important for the seller. The next one is from the marketplace side. I'd say the number of items which are listed is also very important, because we want to have more items for the users to look at. So that's also a good metric to measure from the seller side. Now let's dig deep into what the buyer metrics would look like. So as a buyer, right, what would I want to do is, right, like if I go and search for something, I would want to see items which pop up, which I want to buy, right? So I think the overall, I would want to measure the number of listings per unique search for the user, so that that will tell me if there are enough for the user or not. And there also I would want to basically look at the overall searches which are performed by the buyer, because that will actually tell me how many people are using that, how frequently, right, on a week over week basis. So I would say these would be some of the metrics which you want to measure from the seller side and also the buyer side.
Okay, sounds good. Actually, a couple of questions there, Sidhu. Let's start with sellers, right? So you mentioned that the cart size is important. Why do you think that is important? Because if I'm someone who is trying to like sell one item, right, there is no way I can increase the cart size. Like I can't add few more items to like sell it. Like, why do you think that is important?
Yeah, so the reason I would say that is important is right. So if a person is actually buying a product, right, going and searching for other product, it would add more value for the seller if there are other items also, if is encouraged to add other items also to the cart, right? So if he's buying that as a bundle, right? So imagine I'm trying to search for something and I also stumble upon some other things which are already which the person is buying. It would be much easier conversation for me to buy from that user rather than me going to another person and establishing that trust, making that connection and all of that stuff. So I'd say the cart size would encourage the sellers to list more items, where we'll see more items on the marketplace. That's the reason I want to measure the cart size.
Got it. Sounds good. Actually, one more thing that we can also think about is the price itself. Like maybe that also impacts the cart size, right? I like your overall thought process of the cart size. Two factors there, like number of items and the price of the item. But sounds good. Hope you're enjoying this interview. If you're liking it, don't forget to like share it with your friends, especially the ones who is interviewing, so that they can get benefited from this video.
Okay, Phani. So now we looked at three metrics for the user side and three metrics for the buyer side, right? So I would want to pick a couple of metrics from there, and then we'll see what would be the candidate for our North Star metric, right? Give me a second. Okay, so I have four metrics which we can pick, Phani. The first one is overall sales on a week or a week basis in the marketplace side.
Okay.
So that could be one metric which we want to, which we can pick. And the next metric is overall conversions. So that is number of items listed versus number of items bought on a week over week basis. And then we also can talk about the number of seller listings on a week over week basis. So these three metrics would be something I would want to consider. But let's talk about trade-offs here. So I would want to basically understand the value to the user and if it's actionable or not, and then pick what is the North Star metric out of it. So I feel that out of all of these metrics, the overall, sales would be the top metric, because when we are talking about the overall goal of the product, it is people as a community trying to buy and sell things. So the more people transactions people make, the more people are actually finding value out of the product and trying to come to the product to do another transaction, right? So that would be I would say the overarching North Star metric here. But I would also want to have secondary metrics where I say that I would want to look at overall conversions also. The reason I would want to look at is there could be a lot of sales, but there could also be even bigger listings which are not being sold. So I want to just negate that problem. I would say I'll look at the total number of sales and also the total number of conversions that are being happening in the platform marketplace. If the conversions are high, we are in a good spot. And when the conversions are low but still the sales are high, maybe we can look at how to improve the conversion. So that's why I would want to take conversions as a secondary metric for that. And also I'll pick the seller metrics, because as we talked, right, the more items people see, the more they come to the marketplace and the more they kind of search for and browse for and buy. So I would also want to look at the total number of listings on a week-over-week basis. So I know to put everything properly, the North Star metric will be sales, overall sales, and supporting metrics would be conversions overall on a week-over-week basis, and seller listings on a week-over-week basis. Does that sound good?
Yep, that sounds good, Sudhu.
Okay, funny. So another thing which I would want to also look at is I would want to see if we are cannibalizing any of our other products, right? So let's imagine a user who is actually going through a Facebook feed and looking at a lot of ads. There's a lot of revenue generated, and we don't want to cannibalize that, and people come to the marketplace which we are maybe not monetizing now and spend more and more time there. So we would want to balance that out and see how it's panning out as we are getting more and more traction in the product itself. And I would also basically maybe look at some guardrail metrics, like is this affecting the performance of the app and the ad engine and all of that stuff, to just make sure if people are having a good experience using the overall app or not. So these would be something which I would want to measure in the background as guardrail metrics. So you have any questions, or do you want me to summarize?
Couple of questions actually. So one is the active customers, right? So do you want to focus anywhere on the active customers, because the number of sales or the number of ads might be higher, but they might be getting skewed from like fewer customers or like lower percentage of customers than the others. So do you want to look at the number of customers as well on both sides? And the other one is the satisfaction. Like, even though there might be sales that are being made, obviously sales gives a very good impression of what is going on. But should we also look at the satisfaction? Like, how is their overall experience using Marketplace, etc.? Any thoughts there?
Yep, that's a good question, Phani. So users, right? I would say we could look at active users, but I'd say that is still a vanity metric, right? So it doesn't tie back to the overall goal of what the product is, right? We want to make sure people sell and buy things. So that could only be measured through our North Star metric. It's the overall sales, right? Like the more and more sales happen, the more and more people actually are interacting and coming and making that exchange of goods, I'd say. So that's one thing. What was the second question?
Customer satisfaction.
Customer satisfaction. Yeah, that's also a very important point. I feel that the customer satisfaction could also be something which we could add. That's a good recommendation, I'd say. Maybe because sometimes there could be a transaction which is done, but we are not sure how the transaction went, right? Where the person could exchange that of the platform, right? So we are not sure how the experience has been. Was it really good? Was the conversation really good and all of that stuff? Maybe we could have like a survey or a feedback thing once a person marks it as sold, and asking him how the experience was and all of that stuff. So that could be something which we can add as a secondary metric as user experience.
Sounds good, Sidhu.
Okay, perfect. So if no questions, I'll quickly then go ahead and summarize everything, Phani. Okay, so the question was, what are the success metrics for Facebook Marketplace? So we looked at the overall company's mission, the goal of the product, and also the strategic goals. After which we looked at who are the people who will be using it, and then we went and looked at the user journeys. After which we dig deep into the engagement metrics and what are the possible engagement metrics we can look at. After which, then we also talked about the trade-offs and all of that stuff, and we selected that the overall number of sales that happen is the North Star metric, and we also picked a couple of follow-up metrics for that. And then we looked into some health metrics and guardrail metrics. Perfect.
Oh, this sounds great, Sidhu. Yep. Thank you so much for doing that.
So yeah, I think it was a really good interview. So
awesome. For anyone who's watching, right? If you want to watch more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks all.